we go. Recording in progress. Welcome to our CATHSSETA Garden Route Skills Mecca stakeholder engagement. Nice to see everybody here so far. We try to advertise and market as far as possible, but I know that everybody is busy. But I'm happy enough to give a few more minutes. Martha, if we start maybe around 10 past 10 or so, is that okay for everybody? Is that we give the other colleagues a few more minutes?
It's fine with me.
Okay. Hopefully our other members will be good. I'm seeing thumbs up. Thank you, colleagues, very much. So let's just give it a few more minutes and see if we have more colleagues to come on board. Okay. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are up to the 17 participants. I don't want to waste your time because those of you who have committed to joining us today, thank you very, very much. Can I, just before I continue, can I just check if I am audible? Do colleagues hear me?
Yes,
okay.
We can.
Thank you. Thanks very much. So welcome very much, ladies and gentlemen, to, as I said, the CATHSSETA Garden Route Skills Mecca stakeholder engagement. This is an opportunity that was asked for by the CATHSSETA, and we have the manager for the Western, Northern, and Eastern Cape with us today, Ms. Martha Collette. I think many of us know Martha from many, many years, and so it's great to have you on board. And she's going to lead us through a process with some slides and so on, and bring us up to date with this, the CATHSSETA sector, which of course for the Garden Route is very, very critical. This is a very important sector for us in our backyard. Just before we start and we ask Martha to share her slides and so on, I just wanted to also just briefly share with you, colleagues, this very complicated slide that can be a little bit scary. Can I just see, can you colleagues see a slide with all sorts of little pictures and things that says Garden Route in the middle?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, just for information purposes, this is the Garden Route Skills Mecca concept. It has lots of elements, components to it, and so on. And progressively, we will be talking more and more about this as we go forward. I want to just mention today those colleagues that are on board on the system, who are from the private provider sector. We are in the process of setting up a private provider, Garden Route private provider workshop that will be running hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so. And I will go into a lot more detail around this particular slide. Also, I see some of the colleagues are here from our skills units in the local municipalities. Welcome, guys. And I will also be talking to you a lot more about this slide as well. We're quite well advanced now with all our bits and pieces around the Garden Route Skills Mecca. And now it's all about implementation. So colleagues, just to point out, the session today from the CATHSSETA came out of the Garden Route Skills Mecca Forum. So you'll see in the middle of that slide, a little bit towards the top, a little bit towards the right, there it says Stakeholder Forum. That is a forum that happens every 3 months. It's actually a webinar-based forum now, completely open to the public. And at the last forum, which was on the 20th of August, our colleague from CATHSSETA, Martha Colette, was there. And then she contacted me afterwards and said, can we run something similar for CATHSSETA? And of course, we absolutely welcomed that. And so going forward, I think we may have more and more of these engagements from our colleagues at the CETAs. I think, Martha, you've given us you've taken the initiative, but I think we'll follow your example and maybe write to the other CETA colleagues and say to them that if they wish to do something similar and spend a couple of hours with us here in the Garden Route online, it would be very welcome. So colleagues, that just to give you a little bit of introduction and so on. So I'm going to stop sharing there. And good. So I see we have picked up on numbers. We're going towards 20 now. So excellent. Welcome everybody. Those of you who I haven't welcomed so far. I'm now going to hand over to our manager from the CATHSSETA, Martha, and she's going to share the slides, and then I'll leave the balance of the session to her. I'll just wrap up at the end. Martha, before we start, can I just check with you, what is your preference? Would you like to run through all your slides, or are you quite happy to be interrupted as we go? I can just watch the the hands. Anybody wants to say something, just put up your hand. What is your preference?
Doc, I have no problem if people ask questions during the slides. If it's covered on another slide, I'll just say so. It's a slide that's still coming. But please, I also don't have a problem if people come and go. I mean, on Zoom, it's so easy. There are stuff that's more applicable to providers. I try to make it based on all the queries that I've received in the last 3 months. So I try to target resolutions for the problems that we're experiencing and information sharing. That's the objective for me for today. So please don't hesitate to interrupt. I'm fine with that.
Okay, there you have it, colleagues. Our friendly CATHSSETA person, Martha, that's the way we know her. So at any point in time, put up your hand. If I miss your hand, just shout at me, and then we can take your question. Right, Marta, the floor is yours. You have shared your slides, so let's go.
Thanks, Doc. And first of all, just thank you very much for helping us with this opportunity. We have stakeholders. Rose dialed in from Italy. So we have stakeholders from all over the world attending this today, which really makes it special. And as I already said, to us, it's an opportunity. You know, we answer the same questions every day. If we can have a captive audience, it just makes it so much easier. I also see an added benefit of being able to network. So you might meet someone here on this forum that you would like to talk to afterwards, or contact or connect with. And to me, that is what business is today: collaboration and working together. So I just want to really thank the Skills Mecca. They were fantastic with organizing this. They had an ad out in no time. I changed the date and it was no problem for them. So thank you very much. What we're briefly going to discuss today is just CATHSSETA sectors. And I hesitate to say post-COVID because I'm not convinced we're going to go post-COVID. I think we might have to live with COVID. And then we're going to talk about a big issue at the moment with the stakeholders, the SIM system, the new SIM system. I've got a few slides on that. We're going to just touch on accreditation. Those of you who are interested in accreditation are welcome to contact me. I've got standard emails that I can email you with the process and with the requirements. We're going to talk about assessor and moderator registrations because that is also done online now. And we're going to talk about CATHSSETA funding, very important. And I'm going to share with you how it's done, what is available at the moment. We've just announced our DG very late. It was supposed to be implemented in April, but due to COVID, I mean, you would appreciate the sectors that we're working in. We have had havoc in terms of the COVID, the restaurants. A lot of our hotels have closed down, and yes, we're going to start discussing that. Now, I haven't worked with Zoom for 2 years, so excuse me, but I cannot get my next slide. I'm just going to stop sharing and just see if I can get mine. Yeah, let me do that because there we go. Okay, thanks. I just need to get grip on that. Okay, so just a question, can everybody see the new normal now on the screen? Am I sharing that?
No, we can't see anything at the moment.
Oops, okay, sorry.
You were sharing, but then you stopped sharing.
Yeah, I stopped sharing to continue with the next slide. Doc, will you do this? But I've added one slide. Okay, let me share again.
But you sent me the new slides this morning, didn't you?
I've added again after that. I'm sorry. I've added one big picture to answer your question. That's what I did. But no, not to worry. I can just share that one last. Will you share for me, please?
Yeah, okay.
Thanks so much. So we're going to talk about the new normal, and I've put the new normal in abbreviations because I'm not sure. I hate the term, first of all, the new normal.
Can I just check with colleagues? Can you see the slides?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, yes, we can.
All right. Okay, carry on. Just tell me when to move the next slide. Okay,
I will ask. Thank you very much, Doctor. So the new normal is a term that everyone's using very loosely at the moment. I do not like the term personally, but I think we also have to accept that life is not going to be what it was. And we need to open our minds. We saw during lockdown, and I was in lockdown in India for 6 months before I repatriated back to South Africa. Now, that is also something that I will write a book on one day because it was quite an experience. But there I saw that the businesses who survived were the businesses who could quickly adapt. And I think that is a big secret today in business. It's a lesson that we can take from COVID. They're predicting that in restaurants, we will see more open kitchens because people want to see how food is prepared, and that food hygiene will be more important than ever. And those of you who saw COVID documentaries will understand why. It literally is on utensils. It's everywhere. It sits on food. It's everywhere. So yes. Then travel and tourism. I'm very happy to see that the airlines are starting to open up. The new SAA is starting to fly this month. September is also tourism month, and internationally. And yes, Emirates is is already flying again to South Africa. So we're seeing more and more airlines coming back. I was very fortunate to repatriate on KLM. They were great. They were fantastic. They were one of the airlines who kept on flying throughout and focused on repatriation flights. Some of the other airlines offloaded passengers and were very strict with the requirements. But I must say, KLM took a business approach and said, this is a way how we can make more money and win more customers. We also had, and I want to use the example of Ethiopian Airlines. They immediately started flying freight instead of passengers. And that was the reason for their survival. So we see that a lot of the airlines have really suffered very, very badly. And, you know, airlines are also, they have processes. A pilot can't just get into a seat and fly again. They need to practice. They need to do simulator sessions. They need to be checked out. So, yes, severe damage to airline industries. Hotels. It is so sad to see in Cape Town how many of our hotels are closing down at the moment and have closed down. And then, of course, with the vax pass coming in, we think that that will help and that people are starting to travel again. Our offices in Northern College Plattekloof is on the route where the airlines come in, and it's amazing to sit in the office and hear the aircraft coming over the building again. I run out and have a look and see who it is, because it's something that we haven't seen in about a year, more than a year. So it's nice to see that. Sport, all of you are familiar with sport events, rugby matches with no spectators or very little. I spoke to one of our sport providers this morning who said they hope that our president are going to take us to level 2, because the gyms are really suffering at the moment with the limit on how many people are allowed at a time. So yes, we're hoping there's going to be relief there too. So basically, I already said, the secret is to think out of the box. And even if you have a small business, you have to think out of the box. And you have to ask, what can I do with what I have? And then, of course, the fourth industrial revolution is now, it was accelerated because of COVID. And we have a strong focus now on e-learning. Those of you with kids in schools and university either hate or love it. It is an adjustment. The learners are really taking strain at this stage because it is new, it's different. Mom and dad is at home, and now suddenly I have to be at home for some days. It's really tough on the kids. And I think even on university level, I've got 2 kids at university, and they battle. The one loves it, the other one hates it. So yes, we have to think differently also in terms of our delivery of education. And then just to touch on that, we need to ask ourselves, are we actually preparing learners for the workplace of the future? Because the workplace of the future is different. It's going back to smaller business, more multi-skilling, huge emphasis on the soft skills. And they've identified those skills. And you can read about it on the internet. There's fantastic stuff on the fourth industrial revolution. There's a South African guy who does a lot of research on it. His name is Graham Cordington. Just about 2.5 years ago, he did a presentation for us at CATHSSETA, and it was an absolute eye-opener. And he identified the skills like lateral thinking is an essential skill, adaptive intelligence, problem solving, creativity, personal intelligence, diversity intelligence, curiosity, storytelling, initiative and entrepreneurship, and tech savviness. a lot of us are intimidated by the tech savvy part. And I saw that even when I worked for a tech company in South Africa during my interrupted employment with CATHSSETA, that it is really daunting, because the tech people are saying, oh, yes, opportunity, and they're creating new apps and things, but they're not necessarily following the right methodology. And I think there we really have to be careful with how we do it. So e-learning is definitely part of the future, yes. In hotels, we will soon, and in some parts of the world, we already have it, robots serving room service. But when that robot serves the wrong food to the wrong room, you're going to need a supervisor with high emotional intelligence, high creativity, high problem-solving skills to keep that customer. And I think that's the challenge. And we need to start focusing on training those skills, because a lot of that our kids of today do actually not have. And I don't want to blame homes and schooling systems, but it's a reality. And we see that every day in our job. You create opportunities for learners, but they don't have the work readiness, and they don't have the work practices to actually maximize that opportunity. Thanks. The next slide, please, Doc. Okay. Sorry, that was two, one back. Thanks. Okay, so those of you who don't know it yet, CATHSSETA is the SETA for Culture and Heritage and Art, and that's 70% of us, 7% of our stakeholders. Conservation is a small sector, only 4% of our stakeholders. Travel and tourism, 9%. Hospitality is our biggest sector, 72%. It's also one of the sectors that was most hurt with COVID. And then sport, recreation, and fitness, 7%, gaming and lotteries, only 1%, and a very highly regulated environment. Now, interesting to see that 95% of our stakeholders are SMMEs, small and medium businesses. And the reason why I share this with you is you'll see later on in the slides on funding, we also follow this breakdown for funding, and we also follow or I have to share with you that we are the second poorest SETA. And you'll see when we get to the numbers, our numbers are not very high. And that is why it's so important that we must take what we get and make the best out of it, because there's no room for errors. So 95% of our stakeholders are small businesses, which means they also don't have to legally pay skills levy. The next slide, please, Doc. Because of COVID, there was major changes at CATHSSETA too. They closed a lot of our regional offices. We went from 6 to 3 and reduced staff, salary cuts for everybody. And I think in government, it is across the board at the moment where people are taking salary cuts. We saw what happened with the negotiations. And I'm happy to say on the positive side that for the first time in years, we have a very strong research team, and we've just conducted a track and trace study, because it's also important for a SETA to measure the impact of the funding. You know, it's all fair and well to say we're giving all this tax money back for training, but does it go to the right places, and does it have impact? I worked recently with a project with American funding where 16 people were trained in hospitality. And at the end of the training, I asked them, how many of you are going to stay in hospitality? And there was only one. And the others all said it is too long hours and too hard work. Now, there is a selection problem. We need to be realistic. We need to set the expectation from the word go. But unfortunately, often with SETA funding, it comes through last minute. It's a very quick implementation. And if you don't have a list of people ready already when it's announced, it is your selection can be too fast, and that impacts the result. So my advice to people is always rather spend time on the selection and slow down a little bit. And then it's actually a gap that I still see in the CETA space. And I know in George, there was a Department of Labor years ago, they had a list of people who were looking for opportunities. But if you look at our current unemployment rate, and I read yesterday that 75,000 people in travel and tourism have lost their jobs in the Western Cape since 2020. Now that is huge. So we really need to look at how we can match people with opportunity. And often we do it informally, but I really see a gap there. It should be more formal. And then, of course, automation and our new SIM system. And we're going to talk about that next. Not my favorite topic at the moment, but it is important that we clarify that. Thanks, Doc. Okay, so the way it works is there is just the previous one, please, Doc. Thank you. There's a dashboard. So when I open the system, there's a dashboard that gives me my tasks, but I actually cannot see other people's tasks, which makes it really difficult to help you. So what we're doing at the moment is if you have problems with the new SIM system, please contact me, copy me in on the emails, because if you copy me in, all I do is I send it on to SIMS and say, please assist our stakeholder. But if you involve me in the process, you get a quick response. Okay. So certain levels in our organization approve certain things, like workplace approval is done by my staff and SLO. DOI, which is the declaration of intent, goes to the SLO first, and then it comes to me. Last night I sat and I approved 100 learners, 170 learners for skills programs. And you literally, the system kicks you out. You can't choose all. You have to go in, then the system kicks you out, and you have to go in again, then you approve one by one. So it takes hours. We're having a meeting on Friday to see how we can streamline this process. And the feedback from our stakeholders is really important. Remember, this system feeds into the national system, and the national system is used for reporting in government. So if we, and based on that, we get more money with the budget, if I can really simplify it. But if we have fake information, you know the old saying in statistics, garbage in, garbage out, really true with the system. When I did a verification visit the other day at a provider here in Cape Town, they said to me, if you put in there that you want to train 13 people and only 10 people pitch for the training, then the system will not allow you to continue. So what they did, they duplicated one learner's details 3 times. Now that will skew the stats, because now you have stats on a system of duplication. So yes, we addressed that one. So you'll see there are system improvements happening all the time. I had a very angry email last night about the system. You know what? Work with us to make it better, because it's not going to go away. So we have to find a way that we can work. There's time frames attached to it, so the planning must be in place. You have to start your process 10 to 15 days before you actually want to start training. And then I've just put Sim's email there for you. It's just sims@cathseta.org.za. But if you email it to me, I connect you with Sims and also follow up, because sometimes they do forget about stakeholders. So please, all I'm asking on this, it is frustrating, it is difficult, but if you've gone through the whole process once or twice, it does work a lot easier. It's just to get there. So please help us to help. Thanks. The next slide, please. So what I did for myself, I started documenting the processes, and I have this on my computer. So if any of you are battling and you want to know, well, how should I do this? Just say to me, how do I do a DOI? And I copy and paste this. It doesn't take me 2 seconds, and you can follow the steps. And it describes it clearly. There's also a manual for everything. Although I do find with the manuals, if one step is not clear to the next step, you can get lost, but it does assist. So please, please, please ask. See me as your point of contact for this if you have problems. If you don't have problems, wonderful. Thank you very much. So I'm not going to go into the details of the process. I just wanted to show you how it's step by step. And most of it is now systems generated. So even the new outcome for the discretionary grant that is in the process of being announced, your contract will be done by the system, which is really fantastic. I can't tell you how we battled in the past with those contracts because it's numbers, it's figures, it's credits, and human error just sneaks in everywhere. So yes, I'm very happy to see this being done. We will have a lot more accurate information. The next slide, please, Doc. Those of you who are already using it and uploading your learner documents onto the system, please remember to type your names and surnames with capital letters. The 170 that I approved last night had a lot where the names didn't start with a capital. And I actually sent an email and said, please just realize that the certificates will be printed like this because that system is used to print the certificates. And if you give a learner a certificate with his name and his surname not spelled with capitals, he's going to ask you to change it. So yes, that is really important. ID cards, the book is not a problem because it's just a flat book, but the cards, we need to have both sides. A lot of the people still only upload one side. It has to be both sides. It has to be certified, not more than 6 months ago. So 6 months ago, please make it, I always say to people, have that certification as late as possible because something happens in the process and you end up having to redo it. So as late as possible. And the certification must be visible. And unfortunately, these requirements are gazetted. So yes, you may not like it, but unfortunately we have to. Thank you, Prof. Hope for the next one. Please interrupt if there's any questions. Okay, then the accreditation process, it's now online. It's still the same process. It's still a phase A and a phase B. Phase A is your company documents, your SIPs document, and a QCTO letter if you're offering a qualification or want to offer a legacy qualification. So the first step when you want to go through accreditation for qualification is you would go onto the QCTO website and see if there is a new qualification that's registered. If there is not, then you need to submit a request to the QCTO. It is on their website. You can ask me. I have the documents on my computer. I can send it to you. And it is a letter of intent. They will then tell you to apply at CATHSSETA. For skills programs, because skills programs is not registered at this stage, most of them not with the QCTO. They're in the process now of scoping an assistant chef skills program. So then we will need a QCTO letter for that too. But until that happens, the skills programs is just internal. It's just with the CETA, and you can just ask us. The smallest unit that you can apply for accreditation, and this is also something that changed, is you cannot do a smaller unit than a skills program. Okay. So please just make sure that you don't submit a program for just the 1 unit standard. You can't get accreditation on that. You can get accreditation and then combine your own unit standards. That is possible. But remember, then the learner only gets statement of result. The learner doesn't get a CATHSSETA certificate. For skills programs, they do get certificates. Then phase B is a training quality management system. A lot of people still submit company quality management systems. We want a training one. You need 2 assessors, 2 moderators. You need a program, and the program consists of a learner guide, facilitator guide, and assessment guide with summative assessments, model answers for the summative assessments, and evidence criteria covering or gathering knowledge, process, and product evidence. You need a program strategy, which is your roadmap for your program. You need a matrix where you show us in your alignment where every learning outcome is trained or facilitated and where it is assessed summatively. And you need a workplace logbook. That is the document the learner will complete in the workplace. In CATHSSETA, we do not see the workplace logbook as assessment, so it doesn't have to be signed off by an assessor in the workplace. It is evidence to show that the learners practiced in preparation for the summative skills assessment. But you still put the learner workbook in the portfolio because sometimes we need more evidence and then we can go and look there. We still do the same visits, and I'm very happy to say that the ETQA department in CATHSSETA have asked me to do the visits again in our region. It's the other regions are not doing it, but I see it as opportunity because I come and visit you and we can discuss a lot of other issues too. So to me, it's always not just a visit, it's more. It is touching base with you, having a look at your new facilities, verifying your portfolios. And yes, I really enjoy those visits. I'm not a person who can sit in the office only. So we still do accreditation visits, monitoring visits, and verification visits. We also now can do it online. So if you prefer online verification, we can do that. I helped Griselda and we formulated a standard operating procedure on how we would do that. However, we do have to see portfolios. So you will have to scan in and send portfolios or give us access to a cloud where you have portfolios, or you will have to still courier portfolios. But that option is yours, and it is an option. I find in the Western Cape that people want a face-to-face verification, so I also don't have a problem with that. I gladly do that. Thank you, Doc. Assessor and moderator registrations. Now here we have to distinguish between legacy and new. Legacy is the old ones. So if you've been registered as an assessor and moderator, please make sure it's current. I know during COVID, a lot of people have forgotten to renew their assessor registrations. Assessors are valid for 3 years, moderators for 2 years. Please don't ask me why. Most of the other seaters have standardized it to 3 years for both, but I'm still fighting that one. So we hopefully soon we will also have both 3 years because it's easier for you to remember to renew it. It is now online. So if you were registered as an assessor and moderator, you must make sure that it's pulled through. There is a tab that says Legacy Assessor and Moderator. Go in there, check if you are there. If you are not there, you did not pull through, and then we need to ask SIMS to assist you. They have all the information from the old system, so don't worry about that. It is there, it just needs to be.
Ek is veronderstel om ding te wees van CATHSSETA. So ek laat hulle net sien ek is op.
Sorry, Elsie, can you just mute yourself?
Thanks, Elsie.
Okay.
Okay, so for new registrations, for re-registrations, and for extension of scope, there's a manual for each. If you need to do it, please ask me and I send you the manual. And if you're still battling, I ask SIMS to assist you. Where I can, I help. I'm also getting more and more familiar with the system. So if we can sort it out quickly, we do. But SIMS is pretty proactive. I mean, we pay them to be on duty. They unfortunately only work working hours. So if you send me a message on a Saturday morning, in the past I could have helped you, but now we will have to wait for Monday to solve that problem. Thanks, Doc. The next slide, please. Okay, so CATHSSETA funding, this, I think some of you might have seen this because we've used this slide for quite a few years, but it explains very nicely that stakeholders pay their 100% levy. You give your 1% of payroll to SARS. SARS then gives 80% to CATHSSETA, 20% to the National Skills Fund. Then that 80% at CATHSSETA is split into two, and it is funding grants and it's funding admin, and that is salaries, buildings, all those things. And that is also inclusive of the 0.5% for the QCTO. So now we're going to zoom left to the grant funding, and that we have two types of funding. We have mandatory grants and we have discretionary grants. Mandatory grants is your 20% that you get back when you submit a WSP and an ATR. The first year it's only a WSP, after that it's a WSP and an ATR. The 49.5% that's left is used for discretionary grants. And then discretionary grants is split into pivotal programs and strategic projects. Pivotal programs is programs leading to a formal qualification on SAQA, and it also includes skills programs. Strategic projects is special projects. We just had a window that closed. We are busy with the evaluation of it, but it was literally only for community colleges and co-ops. And it focused very strongly on upskilling community college staff. So it was assessor, moderator, and RPL advisor training for them. And then the entrepreneurship that went to co-ops was it was for a skills program that comes from the CATHSSETA New Venture qualification. But the numbers were really low because remember, strategic projects is done with the money that is left over and learners that drop out. So there wasn't much, and the numbers were really low, like 20. And we've even had training providers saying to us, no, we can't only train 10 people or 5 people in a region. It's not viable for us. The next slide, please, Doc. So the mandatory grant is the grant that you get back for submitting your WSP and your ATR. You are exempted if your payroll is less than 500,000 per year, but you can opt to pay something and to be part of, because then you can tap into special projects. This mandatory grant closes every year on the 30th of April, but this year there was an extension because of COVID. And I'm now busy handling the appeals of the ones that was not accepted. Reasons for not accepting was not having a training committee with 5 members, training committee, minutes of meetings not submitted, a company not being tax compliant, or a company whose tax or skills levy is not up to date. We pay out in 4 tranches, and remember it is 20% of your 1% contribution, and we pay in September, December, March, and June. If you're a small company, it is a very small amount because your levy is also not that much. So you also have to weigh up, is it worth paying someone to come and do your WSP? I know in that region there are quite a few people who do WSPs and who do it for a reasonable price. Some of the other CETAs do fund SDFs to do it, but not CATHSSETA. So that would be a cost for you, something else that I'm busy finding. Thank you, Doc. Next one. If we look at the discretionary grants, that is now the balance that is paid out and split into pivotal programs. So this part is only speaking to pivotal programs. And then at the bottom, I've got a comment about special projects. And I've already discussed that, so I'm not going to discuss it again. We do fund skills programs, learnerships, apprenticeships, bursaries, internships, and work integrated learning. So let me quickly tell you what each one is. A skills program is a short program, normally 3 to 6 months, and the learner has a skill. We always have learners, and one of our skills programs that's really good is the assistant chef one. You can open your own business after that. You can start making products, or you get really, the industry grabs assistant chefs because the numbers are also higher for assistant chefs. One chef will have a few assistant chefs, so the opportunity is more. This program is really changing lives. And it's brilliant. It's a 6-month program, and after that you're employable, and they do get jobs. Learnerships is a full year program. Apprenticeships, we only have one at this stage, and that is the chef one, and it's a 3-year program. I'm very happy to report that we have last week we received approval from our board that we can fund the apprenticeships for the duration for the full 3 years, because CETA's funding is only for a year at a time. So we always have a problem with bursaries, where we start funding a learner on a program, and then they get a bursary for the first year for the BA, and then the second year we don't fund them. And that to me is really setting up learners for failure, because not many of the learners suddenly inherit money or can suddenly afford a second year if they had needed funding in the first year. So we're also looking at those things to improve it and to make sure that there's continuity. So our apprenticeships will be funded for the full 3 years, and it will include the trade test. So that is great, because that trade test is pretty expensive. So that's good news. Why is learnerships and internships in red? Because those are the 2 programs where you get a tax rebate as a business. If you host learnerships or internships, there is a substantial tax rebate. And if you want more information on that, I've researched the latest figures recently for a stakeholder, and I haven't. Please just ask me. I'll gladly share that with you. It is substantial tax relief for the organization. And then work integrated learning is for learners who are finishing their program at a TVET college. And I was really surprised when I walked in at Northland College the first day after getting this job back, and I saw that suddenly it is just people. In the past, it used to be a person here and there, but obviously the funding for our TVET colleges have increased, and it is really nice to see how many students we have at our TVET colleges now. Now we just have to get industry to give them jobs, because there is hesitancy sometimes from industry to take learners from our TVET colleges. And this is for employed and for unemployed. Doc, do you want to say something?
If I may, Martha.
Please add value.
I just want to pick up on a comment you made now, which I must say I did not know. And if it might mean that there is a change, but I think it's important for our colleagues to understand if there is a change. You mentioned the learnerships and internships, and there is a tax rebate on that. Now, I know that certainly Section 12H of the Tax Act allows for tax allowances on learnerships. And in fact, yesterday I had the opportunity to engage with that section of the law, because I had a query from another colleague. And it does say the actual practice note from National Treasury says that it does include apprenticeships, because the Skills Development Act defines a learnership as an apprenticeship. It says so in the Act. So apprenticeships also benefit from those same tax allowances over the 3 years.
Okay, great. I didn't know that. Thanks. That's valuable information. So that can also go in red.
However, and this is what I'd like to check with you, the Section 12H does not refer to internships at all.
There was a separate division for internships because of the high number of graduates who do not find jobs. And yeah, I recently researched it, and I found a 2021 document that still referred to it. So it is still in. So if you
can you share that document with us when you have a chance? Because I have never seen internships in the tax at all. I know it's part of the triple BEE legislation, but I've never seen it in the tax allowances. However, if you are correct, then that is very good news. So please share that document with us so that we can share it with the other colleagues, because it's completely new for us. Thank you very much. Okay.
Great, thanks for that input, and I'll change the slide to make the apprenticeship red too, because that's great news. So what does this mean in practice for your business? If you are a small business where you literally, I remember running a small B&B in that area where you just don't have enough hands. If you're willing to give a workplace opportunity to someone, it can be hugely beneficial. You create a workplace for a learner where they can actually gain valuable practical experience, and especially in a small business, we use interns in our offices very effectively. And the good ones get jobs. Remember, it's an opportunity for the workplace to also decide, do I want to employ this person or not? So please, if you have or want to have those conversations, let's have it. Our next discretionary window is opening in November. And when it opens, we normally go around with road shows and all those things. This year it was online. I don't know if it will still be online next year. But please, let's have the conversations. If you don't want to have the conversation in a workshop, send me a private email and ask me, and let's see what works for your business. To me, it's really important that we find that job fit and that we find that it's a win-win. And you know what? You don't have to employ the person after the year, but you can. And it's an opportunity for you to really assess a person for the period of a year with no obligation to employ the person. So if it's someone who's late and you don't want to employ the person, that's fine. Then you don't have to. But it's funded. It's extra hands in a small business that can really be valuable. I'm steering away from calling it free labor, but because we don't like that learners are labeled as free labor, you have to remember that you have to comply with all the legislations, but you can also score BEE points. And thanks, Doc, for mentioning that. It is another leg of skills development that a lot of companies are using, especially where they are not on the BEE level where they want to be to do business. So this is for unemployed as well as employed learners. So also, if you have your current staff, you can actually tap into things like bursaries for them. It doesn't have to be universities bursaries. It can also be private provider courses. Please remember, with bursaries, we pay on actual and we don't pay for laptops. So it is the registration fee, it is even the prescribed books, it is travel allowance, it is accommodation when needed. So it is quite substantial. Thanks, Doc. The next slide, please. Okay, so here I've given you what the Western Cape targets for 2021 was. And you'll see we have a total of 365 opportunities. Now, please keep in mind, this is the whole of Western Cape. South Cape is included in this. So there you can see the breakdown, but you can also see the amount per learner. And it is really substantial money. So if you have staff that you want to develop, please consider this. If you want to just host staff but not necessarily employ them, we're always looking for opportunities for learners. And a lot of what I do every day is to match learners with opportunities, because that is one area where it's funny when the window is announced and we say to people, we're giving you money, people suddenly battle to find learners. Now, I think with the current unemployment, you don't need to look far to find learners, but also make sure that you find the right learners, because it's really important that we maximize this money. It is not a lot. My office runs on a budget of 18,910,000 rand, which is not a lot. Eastern Cape is 12 million and Northern Cape is 12 million. So we have a total budget of just under 50 million. Yes, and you know, to me, it's just important to make sure that we don't waste that. Because if you select the wrong person for the intervention, they drop out. And we also get measured on completion. So we are really pedantic to not have learners drop out. We want them to start with the opportunity. And I personally say that to the learners in the induction. I say to them, please don't drop out, because if you drop out, you also block this for someone else. And the need is too big in our country at the moment. We cannot afford it. Thanks, Doc. Next slide. That is the office staff. Nomaveka is with me, Tandi is with me, and Namsla is with me. The three of us are running the show. Please, we touch base every day. At this stage, the office is manned Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 4:30. And if anything happens, which shouldn't happen, but if it does happen, at least a note goes onto the door that says, unfortunately, someone is sick today and we had to attend the meeting or whatever. Please contact us with our contact details. So important information, and please, if you want to take a photograph of the slide, my email address is marta@cathseta.org.za. My cell phone number is 066-495-0604. Sims is sims@cathseta.org.za, and they also have a line that you can dial. It's 010-130-0600. Head office moved recently, and the number is still the same. It's still 011-217-0600. But I always say to people, don't phone a seat, email, because then there's also an audit mail. And if you don't get a response, take that same email and email it again until you get it. Every morning until you get a response. At this stage, I still respond to all my emails every day. I try and keep it up. I don't answer my phone, like now my phone's off, but I do return messages after this. And if you text me, I often, even when I'm in a meeting, I can text back. So it's actually easier to text. This number has WhatsApp on it too, so please use that. Any questions?
Okay, colleagues, so there we have it from Marta, our colleague at the CATHSSETA. And I just want to check if there are any questions from anybody. I don't see any hands. Marta, it seems like you were very, very clear in your presentation. Thanks very much for that.
Okay, Doc, sorry, there is a question. Someone typed that they have participated in drafting the qualification documents and curriculum for the wildlife practitioner and conservation. Yes. Okay, I know what happened there. It is still in the process to be registered with the QCTO, and it is really something that we are trying to push, because there is a need for this qualification to go out, but it is, it happened, okay, first of all, when it was out for public comment, people commented. What we often see is that when a training provider has a program already, they want their program, and I mean, that's human nature, we all take chances. They want their program to be approved, because then they know it will be an easy road for them. But when it was published, the comments from public comments was that it was not actually covering everything. And yes, it is one of the 3 qualifications that we're pushing. We have a deadline for the end of this year. Yeah, I'm not going to say we're going to make it. I hope so. But I know that we had this discussion in our last MANCO, and we're trying to push to get that done as soon as possible. And thanks for that comment, Harby. If you guys want to send me an email, and then I have your email address, then I can also keep you updated when I get updates on that. And yeah, you know what? The chances are that it will probably be 80%. So if I can give you advice, start working on getting the material ready and start with your process of accreditation with the CATHSSETA.
Thanks, Martha.
Okay.
I just also want to mention that for this discretionary grant, we actually didn't have any application from South Cape College, which made me very sad when I checked it. So I have been in touch with them, and I'm having, they asked me for an invitation to this meeting, which I did send them. And I'm also going to zoom in on the TVET colleges because they create lots of opportunities for learners. And we have a mandate that if a TVET college applies for a program, we give it to them because it comes straight from the top that we have to help the TVET colleges. So I will definitely be, I'm planning a visit as soon as COVID is a little bit better, which I think is also happening now. Although I am at home today because I had exposure on Sunday, but I think I had it already in India, so I'm not too worried. My eyes are just very watery and difficult, and I didn't have a good night. But I am isolating because I had direct contact. It was only informed yesterday about it. So yes, I think we need to be careful, but I really want to come and visit the area and then also see where we can make more connections and definitely ensure that we apply for the window that's opening in November. It's very important to apply. If you don't ask, you can't get. If you ask, you have to. As a TVET college, you will get.
Okay, no, that's good to know. Thank you very much, Martha. And we look forward to your visit. I'm not sure if there are any more questions. And colleagues, my Zoom has gone a little bit wonky here. I'm not too sure what.
Anybody else with a question? Okay, I want to thank you very much. I think it's a very, very exciting area where you are. You are really, okay, there's the email is already coming in. Thanks for that. You are in an area with tremendous growth. I saw the figures the other day for the Garden Route for property sales, and it's very exciting to see that. So please, I want to leave you today with a quote from Nelson Mandela, and I think it is so appropriate for where we are in the world today. There is all this instability, craziness, chaos, and yeah. Madiba said we can change the world and make it a better place. It is in your hands, and I want to say in our hands to make a difference. I think if there was ever a time where the world needed that difference, it is now. So let's work together. Let's create opportunities. The statistics for needs are increasing. Needs is people not in education and training and also not employed. And those numbers are just escalating. So please, let's work together. Let's create opportunities. There's a direct link between unemployment and crime. Crime affects all of us. So let's create these opportunities. Let's take what we have and make something out of it. The opportunity is there. The people are there. The need is huge. There are projects to reskill and retrain staff who were retrenched. NDP is running a big project on that. They're training staff in our customer service program as well as in food safety, 4 skills programs. And that is on the condition that the learner will actually be considered for re-employment. Now that is great because the learner gets a stipend for the year, and then when they retrained, they might be able to re-enter into the hotel or the hospitality business where they came from. I also think we need to look at hospitality as a wider term. We need to look at customer service. That is such an essential skill. They're saying when the skies open, people are going to travel like never before. So let's prepare for that. Let's be ready. Let's make sure that our service standards are in place, and let's make sure that our staff are trained. Thank you very much. Any other questions from anybody?
Hi, Martha.
Yes,
this is
sure.
Fix. Floris is battling with his connection, so I'm going to take over and just wrap up this session.
Yeah.
I really want to thank you, for assisting us and actually sharing this information with us, because I think a lot of colleagues out there sometimes struggle, and they don't know who to talk to. So I think although you said you've got the second smallest budget, I mean, any penny can go far. If we do, attract the correct programs, and we attract the candidates and the beneficiaries, correctly. So I just want to thank you, because I think maybe, there's some of the colleagues part of this meeting today that would obviously have more questions, and they will definitely contact you, via the contact details that you provided to us. But I also think that this should only be the start of a engagement a program, and that we follow this up, as maybe, when your window open in November, maybe we should then just before, guide us as the Garden Route area on how you expect these applications to look like, because I think a lot of times, people don't know, and their applications are not considered, just not because they don't have a good project, but because we don't comply to your specific requirements. So I would suggest, if possible, if we can repeat another session when your window opens, and that we then invite all these colleagues back, plus some more colleagues, and we will advertise that quite widely, and then we will appreciate you coming back and assisting us with our applications from this region. And so I just want to thank you for talking to us and sharing this presentation, and then just in general your passion that you shared in terms of your work. Thank you very much. I don't know if there's any other colleagues that would like to add something or to have more questions. Maybe they'll put it, drop an email, or they'll, contact your office. But I can assure the colleagues present on this forum today that we will follow up this discussion, and will not leave you out in the cold. We will assist you where we can. So Martha, from us, thank you very much. And to all the colleagues, take note what you've heard today. We can also share your presentation from our side. I think Doc has got your one. We just need that updated one that you talked about, because as you go, like women do, they add new ideas.
Yes.
No problem with that. But if you can just let us have your updated one, and we will circulate that to all the colleagues that's been part of this meeting today.
Okay, if you like, thanks, Trix. If you like me, I would want to know now what was not discussed. So I'm just going to share with you quickly. It was just one slide that showed you the targets for the whole country. And I just wanted you to see that the Western Cape, Northern Cape, and Eastern Cape is the second biggest chunk in the country. So we have opportunities, and that is all that I wanted to do there. Then I just also want to thank you very much. We definitely can follow it up. I had a look at, analyzed the stats yesterday of the rejected discretionary grants. And because we get it, but I mean, it's quite a hectic job, so we don't always take the time to actually look at it. But yesterday I thought, in preparation for this meeting, because someone might ask, I applied and I was rejected. Why? So I wanted to be ready. And most of the reasons are, and I saw it with the special projects too, people want to address a need that was not identified as a need. And the ad is very clear when it goes into the newspaper. It tells you exactly, and it's on our website. It's always with a red flashing banner. You cannot just decide, I want to train this and now I apply for funding. So a lot of the reasons was need not part of identified needs. So when we know what the needs are, let's then, and remember those needs are identified from the WSP of the area. So let's then see how can we match it with what we have in the area. So yes, thanks very much. Definitely follow up. And I appreciate these forums because I reach a larger audience. So fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Martha. I think Doc is back back up with us. I see his picture there. So let's give him an opportunity. I've sort of closed the session, but let him just have his last bite. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Trix. Thanks, Trix. But you know, a guy should never speak after a lady has spoken the last time. So I have nothing to say except thank you very much, Martha.
Okay, thanks very much. And I'm looking forward. I see some of the emails already came in. So yes, let's collaborate. Let's work together. Let's create opportunities for that beautiful part of the world. We want people to come and visit. We want people to come back. That is the big return business is the secret. So thanks very much. Have a lovely day, everybody. And hoping to see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Martha. Bye.
Totsiens.